I think the biggest desire of every human being, or at least most part of them, is to live a reality of a life with zero bad feelings. Well, after this video, you will have a different perspective of this part of life, and I hope my words until the end can be useful for you to find some answer inside yourself. But honestly, how wonderful would that be, no? Having the ability to take every risk in life and knowing that even if it doesn't go exactly how you expected, whatever, you don't take that bad feeling to yourself. No matter what you try, what you experience, you will always have nothing but gratitude at the end. No remorse, no hate, no desperation, just full self control, understanding, and peace. I think everybody would just go for their lives without even thinking too much about it. Just going with an organic flow of experience built from the own creator that it's nothing but himself. Maybe people would be more like themselves, the truly version, I mean, the one that almost nobody nowadays go to find out about. Because to find out about this version is to give up on all the bullshit your family, friends, society, and internet told you your entire life about who you are, how you should behave, what is the best for you, because they know it for sure, right? And it hurts to give up on all that, especially after years and years building this little character of yours according to it. Living like that, having all the limits set to yourself by yourself, and now calling it your morals. And without even knowing at all what is the feeling of the other side. It's obvious that there are things that you see and immediately a feeling from deep down arises as a thought saying, please don't do it. That, yes, that is the type of thing you shouldn't ignore. But the question here is, why do a lot of people don't go for their real lives? Unfortunately, the fear of a bad feeling. Not just one, but a lot of bad feelings. And to understand that, first we need to know what related to it a bad feeling is. A bad feeling, most of the time, is not even about the thing itself. It's about the gap, the distance between what you thought was going to happen and what actually happened. You built a picture in your head, maybe without even notice you were building it, and life came and showed you a different one. And that difference right there, that's where the bad feeling lives. Not in the event, but in the gap, you know. And the thing that nobody tells you, you don't hear it out there, is that most of that picture in your head wasn't even yours to begin with. Somebody gave it to you. A parent, a teacher, a girlfriend, a stranger on the internet with strong opinions and a nice camera. Well, they gave you an entire image of how things should go, and you carried it like it was your own. And now on every time reality doesn't match that borrowed image, well, you suffer. Not because life failed you, but because you are comparing life to a photograph someone else took. We are so used to urge a comfortable feeling all the time that we forget that comfort won't take us anywhere. But we are so afraid of the feeling that the discomfort brings to our ego that we simply stop and stare at our lives passing right in front of our eyes. And without actually interacting with it, we love to complain about it. Everybody loves to set any negative emotion as evil and wrong to go through. Then you open your phone and there it is. Beautiful propagandas of how steadily colorful life can be and how you don't need to make any effort to live as such, besides buying their product. You will just get where you want to be when you finally start accepting bad feelings as nothing but a sign of being alive, just as all the other things are. There is no difference. If you take all the sadness, you die. If you take all the fear, you're also not gonna last a week. Those are the most important feelings that shape who you are, because they are the uncomfortable ones. Also, the feeling of not doing the right thing, the feeling of constantly taking the wrong decisions, the feeling that you are living your life in circle, all these feelings gives you a invitation letter to change. And this change doesn't need to be fast. You can take your time in this process, day by day, changing a bit of your habits, stopping this, adding that. You will fail some days, eventually, but that is also part of the process. Just please don't use it as an excuse to get lazier and lazier again. There is nobody in this world that can judge a process of someone else's life. Most people protect themselves from that gap I mentioned by simply not trying, by shrinking the size of their life until the picture in their head and the picture in reality are close enough that they never have to feel the distance. And they call it that being realistic. They call that knowing their place. But really, if you strip away the language, what they're doing is trading their whole life for the guarantee of not feeling bad. And that's a horrible trade, to be honest. That's the worst you can do, because you're not just trading away the bad feelings, you're trading away everything else too. The big feelings, the ones that make you remember you're alive. The real life question about it, it's not how do I avoid bad feelings, but how can I build a relationship with those uncomfortable feelings that can make me understand myself even more. And even if you won't understand anything in a certain situation, but just overcome the judgment of good or bad and see as a part of life, such as everything else. Once you know everything is just part of the whole, you don't see yourself as a victim, nor just as a viewer, watching it all passing by. You interact with it with confidence, because to be honest, there is no reason at all to not be confident in this life. You are as important as anyone else you see around, and everybody you see around might not be even aware of their own importance. And that lack of awareness brings them back to a life of pure fear and put them inside a cage where they would never show, not even to themselves, who they can become. So life goes, in that way. And then, don't say you don't know why this happened, because even if you was aware enough, you never did something after it. Knowledge without action means nothing. Why does everyone clap for the words of the one who shows up better and not to the other one who talked exactly the same but showed up as a crap? Physical reality necessarily has to pass through the mind first, as a simple idea. But if you keep the idea there, this is the same of having an empty mind, such as the ignorant one. And you will need confidence to go through a bad feeling without letting it beat you down. And it's not the wrong concept of confidence they love to tell you out there, that has to be loud and seen. That is not confidence, that's exactly the opposite of it. Real confidence is quiet, nobody hears that from you, but they usually feel very offended or attacked by this calmness, not because you want to attack them with it, obviously not, but because they are not used to it at all. That seems as a sarcasm or not taking things serious. But the secret is, well, you don't actually take things so serious because you are sure by this confidence that what you're going for will repay you. And if something is not meant to be, you are ready to feel whatever and restart or take another path. That is the way to go if you really want to keep evolving, finding out more about your strength, your personality, and pushing yourself to achieve what you say you want. One thing that it's good to keep in mind is the wrong self-judgments, especially when it comes to you think that you can't go for your goals because you are lazy or simply distracted too much. Let me really explain you something interesting about it in a hermetic version. So, you are not exactly a procrastinator. That word lets you off too easy. You're not putting things off out of laziness. You are basically avoiding what those tasks would force you to see about yourself. Procrastination was never about laziness. It's basically a protection. Protection from something inside you that isn't ready to be faced. It's basically called a conflict between identity and destiny, according to the old Hermetic thinkers. You want a certain outcome, but somewhere underneath you haven't yet accepted that you are the kind of person who gets to have it. And that gap creates a loop. You know what you need to do, you have known for a long time, but every time you move toward it, something pulls you back. It feels like it's coming from outside of you. Well, it isn't. You will blame the phone, you will blame exhaustion, distraction, a lack of energy. You will come up with excuse after excuse, and every one of them will sound reasonable, but none of them are the real reason. They are just well-dressed ways of avoiding the truth, because the truth runs deeper than any of that. And about that, here's the truth. If you actually do it, you might succeed. And if you succeed, you no longer have an excuse to keep being who you are right now. That's what actually can be scaring you, not failure. Failure is a safe thing. Failure keeps you exactly where you already are. And that is known, it's comfortable. Success is a dangerous one because real success costs you your entire identity, as we talked before. That's why you keep putting it off. Not because you are incapable, but because part of you still prefers the version of yourself you already know how to be. It's comfortable, it's familiar, it's predictable, even if it's slowly costing you your own growth. And here's the part that makes it worse. The longer you wait, the more guilt builds, and the more guilt you carry, the further you run from it. It becomes a closed loop, self-sabotage dressed up as distraction. But there is one thing that can help you break this loop. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more knowledge. You need to be able to tolerate the discomfort of simply beginning. Because the moment you take action, the old identity starts to come apart. That's the moment your life begins to shift. That's the moment your mindset changes. That's the moment everything starts to move, finally. And that is a great feeling. So after saying all that, and if all that, or at least a good part of it, made sense for you, I invite you to do something that will prove that sense to yourself. At least once a day, do something that makes you feel uncomfortable, but you know that will be good for you to step out of this scary zone. And who is the best one to tell what can be those things, other than yourself? You know what scares the hell out of you, come on. But well, you can try, for example, saying no when you mean it. That is a perfect way to show your brain that you are not a people-pleasing clown. You can also sit in silence for at least 15 to 20 minutes a day if you're not used to it. But if in once in a while you do it, I encourage you to do at least 30 minutes every day. And I mean silence. No phone, no background noise or music. Just sit, relax, close your eyes if you want, and let your brain relax. And may your mind bring to you what exactly you need to pay attention on. That can bring a bad feeling, but this video is exactly about telling you the reason why it makes no sense to be afraid of them. And by the way, go outside, talk to people, make some random interactions like asking for the time even though you have your phone in your pocket. Just don't go wearing a watch on your wrist, that would be pretty obvious, I guess. Well, that's it. I hope you had a great time. Check out other videos in the channel too. If you're watching it right after I post it, you would just have one more to check, beside the shorts, but I promise it's worth though. Leave a like and comment if you have something interesting to share. I believe everybody has. Anything that comes from inside about the outside, when said with respect and genuine will, it's an interesting thing. Be safe and healthy. See ya.